All right, hey, what's up, everybody? Math 6, 5.3. Today we are talking about rates. All right, so a couple definitions. Rate. A rate is actually a ratio, so we've talked about ratios, right? Of two quantities using different units, okay? Different units. Miles per hour, dollars per hour, centimeters per second. All those sorts of things are rates because they are using units on both the top and the bottom, different types of units, okay? Now, what's a unit rate? So this can be a little confusing because up here we're talking about units. And when I mean units here, I mean like miles, dollars, meters, yards, etc., okay? When I say down here, unit rate, when I say unit there, I mean singular, okay? Meaning, unit rate compares a quantity to one unit of another quantity, and it always has a denominator of 1. So a unit rate is a type of rate, but the denominator is a 1. That's the easiest way to remember, okay? So we're going to work on taking rates and changing them, or really reducing or simplifying them, because they'll be in fraction form, and reducing and simplifying those rates to become unit rates. All right, so let's get there. All right, so let's turn a rate into a unit rate. So you pay $45 for 5 pizzas. Write this as both a rate and a unit rate. Okay, so as a rate, we're going to just start with the information we were given. $45 for 5 pizzas. That's going to be the rate written with its units, $45 for 5 pizzas. That is the rate. But to do the unit rate, again, go back to our definition, has a denominator of 1. So it's going to be the same as this, just a denominator of 1. Okay, so it's an equivalent ratio or equivalent rate. So instead of 5 pizzas, we need to be talking in terms of something per 1 pizza. Now the units on bottom stayed pizzas, the units on top are going to stay dollars, so we're not changing the units, but we are saying, hey, what did I do to 5 to make it 1? Okay, and we are always going to be talking in terms of multiplication and division here. And we know we can take a 5, and if we divide it by 5, we get 1. So I have to do the same to the top, though. What is 45 divided by 5? That would be 9, okay? So that is the unit rate. So we took a rate of $45 per 5 pizzas and turned it into the unit rate of $9 per 1 pizza. All right, let's take this problem here. Give us a double number line, and what it does is it gives us a rate at which BattleBot teams earn points based on the number of times a bot flips the enemy bot over. Okay, and we're going to display, or we're going to write a rate that we see from this number line. Okay, and then we're going to change it to a unit rate if we need to. So I got 2 BattleBots here. If you don't know, the radio, RC controlled, remote controlled, fighting robots that have all sorts of weapons on them. They're really kind of cool. And so again, let's figure out what's a rate that's displayed here. Well, I actually see one, and it's 90 points per 3 flips. Where'd that come from? Right there, okay? That right there on the line tells us that a team is going to earn 90 points if they flip the enemy robot 3 times. But that's, of course, not the only one, because I could have chosen this one. I could have said 120 points for 4 flips. That's also a rate given to us on this double number line. So there's a lot of rates here, actually, and we could actually continue on. What would happen if a team got 6 flips? Well, if they got 6 flips, how many points would they get? Well, the points are going up by 30 each time. Okay, so that would be, well, that was 150 for 5 flips, so that'd be 180 there. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take this and turn it into a unit rate. Again, unit rate has a denominator of what? 1. So, do we use the 90 over 3 and make a denominator of 1? Do we do the 120 over 4 and then change that to have a denominator of 1? Well, guess what? It doesn't matter, because they're all going to reduce to the same fraction anyway. And you can probably already tell that the unit rate's given to us in the table right there, 30 points per 1 flip. Okay, but if you didn't know that initially, let's say we didn't know that right there, and we only knew 90 points for 3 flips. What I would do to change it into a unit rate, again, we're keeping points on top, we're keeping flips on bottom, we're not changing any of that. We just need the denominator to become a 1. So what do you do to a 3 to make it a 1? You divide by 3. So what do you do to 90? Also have to do the same. Divide by 3. What's 90 divided by 3? That's, of course, 30. Okay, so 30 points per 1 flip would be the unit rate. All these other things on the table are just regular rates. All right, so I want you to pause the video and give this a try. Play it when you are done. Okay, so a piece of space junk travels at 10 miles in 16 seconds. What is this as a unit rate? Okay, so again, we need to always start with what we're given. It travels 10 miles in 16 seconds. So I'm seeing that as the rate 10 miles over 16 seconds, or 10 miles per 16 seconds. Again, though, we want it to be a unit rate, so we want the 16 seconds to become 1 second. So what do we do to it? Well, we know we take 16 and we divide it by 16. That gives us 1. But I got to do the same to the top. 10 divided by 16. Okay, well, how do we do that? Well, just use a little long division here. 10 divided by 16. Can't put 16 into 10, so put a decimal and a 0. It does go into 100. How many times? Well, 16 times 4 is 64. So it's won't be quite 8. Maybe 16 times 6. Let's try that. 36. And 6 times 1 is 6, and then 3 is 9. 96. So there you go. So it goes in there 6 times, giving us a 96. Subtract, and we're left with a 4. Okay? So what can we do next? Well, bring down a 0. 16 goes into 40 twice. That's going to give us a 32. Subtract with an 8. Bring down another 0. 16 goes into 80. Well, let's see. 16 times 4 is 64. So 16 times 5 would be what? Well, 30, carrying the 5 and the 8. And look at that. 80, right? So 5. 80 times. Evenly. Everything's done. So what is our answer? As a decimal, it'd be 0.625 miles every 1 second. Now, if we wanted to do it as a fraction, we could have actually left the top as 10/16 and then simplify, so divide by 2 and 2, and so you get 5 over 8. It's 5/8 of a mile every 1 second. Okay, so you could write it like this, or you could write it as 5/8 of a mile every 1 second. Either one. Those are both examples of 10 miles in 16 seconds expressed as a unit rate. Again, unit rate, denominator of 1. All right, guys, and last little thing, just a real quick recap, okay? Just need to make sure we understand the difference here. This is a rate, $72 per 12 sandwiches. But this here is both a rate and a unit rate, $6 per sandwich, okay? So again, it's a unit rate, but a unit rate is a type of rate. Why is it still a rate even though the denominator is 1? Because we're talking about dollars over something that is not dollars, in this case sandwiches. So different types of units on top and bottom. That is why they're both rates. This one just happens to be more specifically a unit rate because the denominator is a 1. All right, that's all I got for you guys. Thanks for sticking with it. I'll see you in class.